What are the ethical implications of delegating certain legislative tasks to machine rather than humans? Who wants to answer?
Yeah, just to stress the fact that we are not delegating tasks to the machine. We are using the machine to support humans in our settings. I don't see ethical implication in using technology for assisting our users, because we are not changing the way in which they work. We are in a radical way. We are just supporting them, making their work more efficient, allowing them to focus and concentrate on, let's say, on specific issues, while the machine release them from the burden of, maybe analyzing too much, something that is has already been analyzed in the past. But the pattern in our case, in our setting, is human in the loop and human at the end of the loop, I would say. So no decision and no choice is taken without that the human takes a responsibility on it. And so I would say that at least in our settings, these ethical implications are yet to come. There's no point in putting on the table this problem at the moment. Maybe in future, if we will find systems so reliable, so explicable, so transparent, we will be able to discuss this issue. But maybe now is early for the kind of application we do in our administration.
And really, I'll speak specifically here about Canada in our approach at the House of Commons with our trans editors, our transcribers, in the journey that we're taking. The first message we've always stated from the beginning was our exploration here in terms of productivity improvements are not purely based on a situation of cost reduction for the workforce aspect, meaning the jobs and the employees themselves that are performing the work currently manually or without the AI-enabled technology. So the message we've been giving is this is a value improvement and augmentation of the tool set that will enable them to shift and move to a higher value aspects of their roles, which allows for more time for editing and quality, and to ensure consistency of the text that we produce through the augmentation of these tools. And the other pressure we're facing generally as a society, I think all our colleagues could recognize this, is that these types of jobs are becoming harder to staff. It's just not a workforce that is as abundant as it was in the past in terms of stenographers and typists and trans editors, transcribers, however you wish to call it. And folks generally in education and other emerging fields of study are moving to higher value work types. So it is something we're seeing as a pressure to acknowledge in terms of retention and acquisition of staff, and the increasing pressures of the service delivery expectations from our members of parliament to stay within the service level agreements we have for producing our documents. And when you add up all these factors, AI is just simply at the right place at the right time to help us adjust and maintain our service quality. But the change management, if I get back to specifically, is one that we're hyper cognizant of and working very closely with our HR teams and the workforce itself. And I have to commend my partners who may be joining us today in procedural services for really doing the lion's share of the work here, as these are their personnel that they're closely bringing on this journey with us.
Has any Parliament's participant in the seminar considered OpenAI or Copilot when embarking on the AI journey? Who wants to answer?
Yes, the answer basically is yes. For instance, we discovered that both these technologies are very good at doing summaries, and we have some departments that do a lot of summaries for their activities. So we are evaluating the summarization capability of the systems against the styles that of these departments. So the answer is yes, we are evaluating these systems, especially because they are pretty ready-made. So you only have to do tests. You don't have to develop anything. It is very seductive under the point of view of the IT department. Of course, you pay the seduction because it's a black box. you cannot enter the details. You have always to be, how to say, to care about the problems typical of these systems, and you have to train your users about these problems, which is not easy. So the evaluation is ongoing. It is not everything. It is not. You cannot give for granted the functionality of this system for a parliament, but they are absolutely interesting and deserves a careful look on our side by ourselves.
How did the Italian Senate improve its skills and its structure to develop and support AI systems, Calvin? Please.
Thank you, Patricia. As for the skills, first of all, you know, the relationship with university automatically brings some advantage, because they invite you to talk, speeches, seminars, debates, and we used to join them. We used to participate to these seminars, and we take a huge wealth of advantages from participating to this kind of initiatives. We don't limit ourselves to join initiative from the university. Of course, we are in touch with research centers. We work very much with the National Research Center. CNR is the acronym, and they are also organized frequent events. They are also managing some databases for the Italian Parliament since many years, and this relationship has created the opportunity to work with them as well. There are a couple of institutes of the CNR that are actually working on legislative issues since more than 25 or 30 years, if I'm not wrong. And we also go to, we used to participate to seminars of company, for instance, of course, of companies, not all the companies, but those that that we deem relevant for our businesses, for our objectives. For instance, of course, Microsoft is very much pushing on their investments in OpenAI, and we have attended to a couple of seminars, and mainly in order to start doing some experiments with them. So we would like to test a large language model in a couple of scenarios, some of them. And then the second part of the question was about the organization. If we change the organization, the first is on skills, and the second is on the internal organization of the IT department. Actually, we didn't change the organization of the IT department. Since many years, our developers are used to work on some pet projects. The pet project, like, you know, Google used to call them pet project, are the projects of the developers. It's like having a small kitten, for instance, and having to raise the small kitten to your pet. So some of them raise kittens, let's say so. Some of the kittens are AI projects sometimes, but this is something we have been doing since over the last 20 years with several families of technologies. 20 years ago, we were working with document management systems, as you know, the innovation for the parliament. Putting them aside to databases. Then we moved to ERPs, you know, sometimes business intelligence, and so on. And now we are working in this way, raising this kitten, doing these pet projects with companies working in AI. But this is part of our organization since many years. One thing, first of all, you know, university typically, at least in my experience, works in a very informal way with small teams, and it's very stingy on some technology issue, but it's not the subject that you can make responsible for running a system for the parliament. So what we do basically with university is proof of concepts and prototypes. Actually, the system I show for I've been showing for bill classification and the related paper comes from a proof of concept, a prototype, built on a server of the university. And once we were actually certain that the service was working very well, because we sent some of our users to try to classify texts at the university with the professor, with the proper follow-up. Once we were sure that the system was working very well, we then started the technology transfer phase. The technology transfer phase is not that easy, because you need eventually you need to have your system brought in production. with proper support, with proper technical assistance, with proper maintenance, with proper help desk services around it. And for having all this stuff, you cannot ask to put in place the service to the university. So you have to put in place company. You have to look for companies, and you have to manage the transfer of this knowledge from the university to the company. So what do? We typically ask for a good contractor. How to find this? A good contractor is depends from country to country, from parliament to parliament. You know, and we try to ask to a good contractor to start a contract with the university in order to make technology transfer. And because eventually we want to talk with a single subject that is responsible for the correct running of the system. So basically, this means that the technology transfer is a matter mainly of the contractor, of the good contractor. And the good contractor is as good as it manages well the technology transfer phase, you know? And so the recommendation is to let the university do what they actually are good to do. That is proof of concept, scientific measurement, prototypes, and then use the market in order to build around them a good wrapping that can make your system, your innovative system, go in production.